Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships. So we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashley.
And welcome back to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we are your guide to love, dating, relationships, and everything else that life can possibly throw at you. And today, we have an interesting topic. We are going to be talking about asking or giving our childhood selves advice from today.
From today. This is a very fun topic, I think. It's going to get a little serious, a little deep, so bear with us. But just thinking about, your life, and imagine going back and playing a tape of your life and looking at the mistakes that you've made and saying, what were you thinking? What am I wearing? Why did I do this? And if you could go back, there's always this question of, if you could go back and meet someone living or dead, who would it be? But really, if you could go back, what are the things that you were willing to tell yourself? And I hope we have some younger listeners who are taking notes, because me and John have both lived wild lives. It's a little longer than mine, but we're both still wild children nonetheless. And so I'm excited to see, what we have 4 different topics that we can give ourselves advice on. And so I think if we start with, what age do you think we should give advice to?
Oh, geez. Actually, I can go all the way back to elementary school and just looking at some of the mistakes that I made and like, dude, what the hell were you thinking, man?
Let's break it down. Yeah, I like that. So we'll take the 4 topics and we'll give our, our elementary school, our middle school, our high school selves some advice. And this way, maybe if time travel is real, my whole entire life will change with this show. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if I did that. I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
That's true.
That's the only thing.
I do enjoy my life.
Yeah, I like where I'm at, but damn, I went through some hell getting here, though.
Right, I've been fighting a lot of demons, and still fighting demons, but nonetheless, still a fighter. Still, I do enjoy where I am today, so I can't complain as much. But that would be interesting. Like, imagine if we gave some advice and then our whole entire background just shifted. It was like, here it goes. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be so weird. I like the concept. So, our first one is friendship. So, John, what would you give elementary school John advice on about friendship?
Choose your friends a lot wiser. I mean, that's really my biggest thing. The thing about me is that I grew up in a military family. So I was used to picking up and moving every 3 years, or roughly every 5 years. So I really didn't make any like tight-knit friendships because I knew either I was leaving soon or they were leaving soon. So really, it was, oh, you want to pay attention to me? I'll be your friend. Yeah. And I should have been a lot choosier. Because some of them, they really were not friends. And you don't realize that until you look back.
Yeah. That's good. Especially for a kid who's in, like 3rd or 4th grade, because very impressionable, obviously. I don't like to call kids dumb, but they aren't cognitively developed yet. So it's easy to latch onto someone if they want to pay attention to you. I wasn't in a military family, but we moved around a lot. So it's kind of the same advice, but a little different. I would say, listen, it's okay. It's okay to it's okay to have a temporary friend. Like, I was one of those kids who, like you said, you want to pay attention to me, cool, we'll be friends. But I'd be like, I'm your best friend now. You know what I mean? Like, we're best friends, and I only have a year with this friendship, so I have to max it out. And it would result in me feeling very isolated every time I had to move and very alone. And like, it really made it hard for me to stick to it.
Yeah.
Like, I have a hard time, people who work the same job for 20 years, I could never.
I tried that, but circumstances prevented me from doing it. But there were some jobs that I took simply because I thought they were cool, but I didn't have a passion for it. Right. So it became like an actual job. I hated going to the job, but the title was cool.
Right.
And people were like, "Oh, that must be such a cool job." Dude, you have no fucking clue.
Right. It's so great. Like,
Yeah, it's
I
not
enjoyed
that
it so
great.
much. Yeah. That one. I think, yeah, it's when giving advice to my 8 or 9-year-old self, as far as friendship, I would really say, like, you don't have to latch onto things, and it's okay to just have a simple friend. That not everyone's the best friend. And obviously 8 or 9-year-old Ashley would be like, that's not true, because you can only imagine how stubborn I was. But I think that if someone would have told me that, or I probably did, I did listen, it might have made transitioning and moving a little easier. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been so, I wouldn't have been so, I don't want to say alone, because I wasn't alone. I had my family, but like, it was very hard for me to grasp the concept of forever friendships or anything lasting, because
Yeah.
it didn't, like it just didn't last.
I'm pretty much the same way. Now that I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm looking for, I do have those lasting friendships.
Right.
But it's very easy for me to just pick up and leave.
Yeah.
So if I look back at my 20s, as far as lasting friendships went, I didn't count on it. I didn't even look for it. But I would run
Couldn't
into
believe it.
people and they're like, "Oh, they've been my friends since kindergarten." I couldn't even comprehend it.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way, and like, it's very weird because when you move a lot, it's cool because you meet a whole bunch of people, and you learn how to maneuver into different worlds, and you really learn how to be a chameleon. But the problem is, you get stuck being this chameleon, so
Yeah.
you sort of you don't really even believe that kind of stuff is possible. And now that I'm older and I'm finally like settling down, I'm probably never moving again because I hate moving. Um, but like now that I'm able to do that, I'm starting to be able to form these friendships. I mean, I've had friends for 10 years now, and you could have never told me as a kid that I would ever have a 10-year friendship.
Right. I'm pretty much the same way. But being able to move as much as I did and meet so many different people, I'm very worldly.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing that I learned from doing all of that is that when I got to a new place, the first thing I did was kind of scope out everything and
Yeah.
look at it and go, okay, these people I need to stay away from, these people I need to kind of integrate with. And I don't have the same biases that a lot of
Right.
people who have stayed in one location or like from high school. I know people I graduated high school with, they never left that city.
I know people who don't have passports,
Oh, geez. I think I've had about 4 of them.
who's
So,
never been on a plane. You know what I mean? I meet these people, and I think there's a part of me that envies the idea of that sort of stability. That sort of, if I call you at any given time of the day, I know what you're doing. If you call me on a Monday at 9 o'clock, you call me that next Monday, two totally different worlds. But, those people who are able to do that, there's an envy in the way that they are able to stay in one place, be patient, do all those things. But then there's that part of me that's like, are you fucking kidding me? This world is humongous.
yeah. I mean, I've gone places and seen things, and people are like,
Right.
"Oh, I've always wanted to go there." Then why
Go.
don't you?
Oh,
Yeah. They're just like, "But I like it here." Yeah.
well, of course.
Your Friday night excitement is Taco Bell.
I had
That-
Taco Bell. It's like,
Yeah.
you really did, dude.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, and I think, 8 or 9-year-old Ashley or John would probably be like, there's no way. We move too much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to make
Yeah.
friends forever. And then you could say, you will. And it comes from just trusting that that's okay. And just kind of, I don't know. Now, middle
Yeah.
school John.
Oh,
What is
geez.
that middle school John? Friendship.
Middle school. That was, I actually went to I went to 3 different middle schools. So, and again, it was
I did
that,
too, actually.
yeah, I went to, let's see,
Yeah, I went to
actually,
St.
yeah, it was 3 different middle schools. And also, we moved states during middle
Mhm.
school. So it was not only
I
just,
did too. That's funny.
yeah. So in that world, again, it would be, have more confidence in yourself, because
Yes.
I was so hesitant about taking certain classes because that's what I wanted to learn. But cool kids don't take those classes.
Yeah.
And you listen to our show, and I'm like, fuck what other people think. Do what makes you
Right.
happy. And that's pretty much what I did, but I hid a lot of that from a lot of different people. That's really also where I learned how to flow from one group to another group and
Very
be able
much.
to blend in. But again, I was wearing a mask. I was pretending to be what I was not.
I like that. I think for me, I'm trying to think of 6th, 7th, 8th grade where I went to school. Where I was. I did. I went to school in New Jersey for 6th grade, school in Pennsylvania for 7th grade, and school in Florida for 8th grade. And so I guess there's a lot of resentment I had about moving all the time. When I was in middle school, and so I guess the thing was you don't have to be obnoxious to make friends. You don't have to be the class clown. You don't have to, always get the last word in edgewise. You don't have to be that person. You can just be yourself. And I always wondered, like, is that who I am? Or was I just putting on a show? And I think it's a little combination of both. Mainly because I want to stand out because I know I only have a year here. So I want people to remember me forever. But also because I am goofy as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it really comes down to that. I think for my middle school years, it would be, you don't have to be obnoxious or a class clown or any of that stuff. You can just be yourself and people are going to like you. And it's okay if these people don't remember you forever. You're in 6th fucking grade. Like, relax.
Yeah. My 6th grade year was rough because the school that I went to wasn't the school I was supposed to go to because I lived up in Tennessee at this time. And certain schools went to one middle school and other schools went to other middle schools. I think we had like 4 middle schools. But you want to talk about school rivalry? This is like 1950s, 1970s type school rivalry.
like West Side Story shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, we won a basketball game and they trashed our buses.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we had call for extra buses because our buses were not running. The tires were slashed.
Crazy.
They were spray painted. The wires were ripped out of the engines. That kind of shit. And they found out where I went to elementary school. And instant ostracized. I mean, my 6th grade year was a living hell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The locker was trashed. I mean, I had to pay for school books that got tore up. And I was like, what the fuck did I do?
What did I do? Yeah, like, why the fuck am I paying for this shit? Dude, yeah, absolutely. I feel 100%. I mean, yeah, middle school is hell, though. I will say that. Like, middle school is hell for everybody. I always say I would rather be a broke adult than a fucking teenager ever again. Because being a teenager sucks. And you're going through so much. You're dealing with, you're not just dealing with life. You're dealing with puberty, which...
And then you're going to add the drama in on top of that.
Yes. and everyone's going through puberty. Everybody wants to hump something and everybody wants to scream at something. It's a nightmare, and on top of that, when you put like moving around a lot and not understanding that moving isn't a big deal and you can make friends anywhere when you're dealing with all the kind of stuff and even the emotional stuff that kids deal with, family stuff like divorce and all of those kind of things. Parents get divorced by them, but I'm just saying middle school is hard and so you rely on your friendships and so you're almost pretty much desperate to do whatever you have to keep friends.
And that was, if I had stood up for myself a little bit more and just had a little bit more confidence in myself, more than likely a lot of that would not have happened.
Yep.
But I was still in that observation mode and I needed to come out of that a lot faster and just say, look, motherfucker, if you want to go, we'll go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, middle school was fun. It was a lot. It was a lot. Middle school's always a lot, I think, for everybody though, like I said. I think you have to deal with children who are going through puberty. We're all just kind of jacked up in that way. Stuff.
Yeah.
See what's next? High school? Oh boy.
Oh jeez.
There's a lot of advice to give Ashley in high school about friendships.
Yeah. For friendships in high school, again, it would be choose your friends a lot more wisely because I didn't go to the high school I was supposed to go to. Go figure. No, I was military bound, so I did an inter-school transfer specifically for ROTC because I found out that if I do that, when I sign up,
I was in ROTC in high school too. That's funny.
Well, I found out that I can actually be promoted to a higher rank.
Yeah, you get to become an E3.
Yeah, I think Air Force E3, possibly Army. Not sure about the Navy. I know the Marine Corps I got, instead of E1, I came in as E2. Yay!
Yeah, Air Force is E3.
Yeah. So I did ROTC so I could come in as E2 in the Marines. But I fell into a pretty bad crowd. I never got caught. Well, I take that back. I got caught once, skipping class. Yeah, I was skipping class. We were doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, oh, got Saturday school? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to
I just
school.
showed up.
I never understood that.
My mom actually caught me. She's like, where are you going? Oh, I got Saturday school. For what? Skip class. Well, don't do that. Yes, Mom.
Right. I wish somebody would have told me when it's on Saturday.
Yeah. I just did what I had to do in order to, like, solve whatever punishment was coming my way.
Right. Yeah, that's real.
But if I had chose my friends a little bit wiser and actually employed some of the stuff that I know now back then, yeah, I could have gotten a lot further, a lot faster.
Yeah. Actually, I would agree with it, but not so much my friends as much as me being an idiot. Who, I don't know. I always seemed in high school. It was like nothing. I don't know how to explain this. So I guess the advice I would have given myself in high school as far as friendships are concerned is take them seriously. Like I said, I moved around a lot. And so I didn't really take relationships at all seriously. Like, fuck you, I'll never see you again. You know what I mean? That's how I lived my life. And I went to the same high school all 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It came with the point of me learning how to manipulate people, being very maladaptive in my behaviors, due to the fact that I didn't form those attachments. I didn't understand how to. I thought everybody left all the time, so you could pretty much do whatever you want. It didn't really matter. And so it resulted in me just, being a total dick.
Yeah. Because I graduated high school early, because starting in middle school, I voluntarily went to summer school, and I took the maximum amount of classes I could during summer school.
Yeah.
And during the summer school session, I made some pretty good friends. But yeah, once summer's over, they're gone. Whatever.
Basically.
Yeah. So I earned all the credits, all my core credits that I needed. So I actually skipped my junior year. So I went freshman, sophomore, senior.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I definitely did all 4 years. Definitely.
Well, my senior year was nothing but electives, because I just needed credits. I satisfied all the core requirements. I just needed credits to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So my senior year was nothing but a fuck off year.
Yeah, that's how I treated most of high school. And like I said, it's because I don't anymore, taking things and people very seriously. I never really had to. I mean, in my mind, either I'm going to move, and that's okay, and that's cool. But even if I don't, I can just get a new group of friends, and it's whatever. I never really cared. I think I'm now finally getting older and starting to care about shit, but in high school, I didn't really care about friendships. I didn't care what those people, thought, and I didn't care what I did to people. And I hurt a lot of people in the process, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it happened. And so I guess, high school, Ashley would probably say, if I told Ashley anything in high school, it's like, just take these people seriously. They truly are your friends. You're a maladaptive psychopath. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that I hurt back in high school. But at the same time, I mean, that's high school drama.
Yeah.
There's no real way around it. I would have just said, look, choose your friends a little bit more wisely. Don't listen to these idiots.
Right.
I mean, you're trying to fit in with a group. And
right.
High school is really where I started to build my own identity. If people didn't know me by name, they knew me by face, because I was the guy with the camera. I went everywhere with my freaking camera. And it was actually in high school where I got hired to my first modeling agency. So I was like, dude, you want to go out this weekend? Can't. Gotta go do a shoot.
Right. Busy working.
Yeah. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah, partying a lot.
Taking pictures of hot women?
Right. Yeah. Need an assistant, right? No, seriously. If I would, and I guess we'll get to that when we talk about business education, but I really do. I think, going back and realizing these things is, number one, it helps me as a person grow. Because I'm realizing like how shitty of a friend I was in high school. But then I'm also realizing that, it was pretty much because I'm an idiot. And I didn't really believe in any of that stuff. And if you're listening and you're one of those people who's like, I moved around a lot, I don't know how to form friendships, I don't know how to do any of these things. Well, it's easy, and we really try and help you do that.
Yeah, we actually have a section in our course. I'm currently putting it together. And part of that is learning how to take command of a room without saying a single word.
Easy.
All eyes are like on you. They're like, what's he going to do? Or what is she going to do?
Yep.
I have been mistaken as, well, we'll get to this a little bit later, but kind of a preview. I've been mistaken as management or a company owner by people. And I'm like, no, I just work here, or I'm nobody. I'm here to buy a beer. But I've been mistaken as owning clubs.
Yeah.
Actually, I alluded to that in a previous podcast. I think that was toxic relationships, I think, or ambiguous dating. Ambiguous relationships. I think that's one it was in where I was talking about that.
I mean, it's so fun. And as we, giving advice for our older selves or younger selves, it's kind of interesting because that makes you reflect on who you were, who you're supposed to be, who you are. So I think the second one we're doing is education. So as a young John,
do my fucking homework.
Oh my God, thank you. That is it. Like, I feel like that's it for everything. You apply yourself, you fucking asshole. Like, and I probably shouldn't talk to my younger self.
I possibly could have made, because I was like almost a C, B minus student all the way through. And now I'm like playing catch up with a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And
right.
You catch me on any given day, ask Ashley, what are you reading? I'm reading this paper on, this research paper on something.
Really?
Like,
it's so true.
Yeah.
Do your homework. Like, always. I mean, you want to talk about, the only reason I passed school, thank God for tests. Because if homework was to pass you, I would have completely flunked out by the 6th grade. I hated homework. It did not make sense. It still doesn't make sense. I go to school to learn. You have 8 hours to teach me. When I go home, I don't want to think about you. I don't want to know you exist. I was also in a lot of extracurriculars. Like, at any given year, I was doing at least 3 sports, and one team, one club. So I was busy. And then not only that, on top of that, when I finally did that, I wanted to go party. Like, I wanted to have fun. I didn't want to do homework.
Yeah, I didn't. Actually, I looked at these guys and I was like, how the fuck do you fit homework into this? Because not only did I have a part-time job, but I also had, I was in the marching band. So there was like practices there. Then I was in ROTC and I was on the armed drill team. So there were practices.
Unarmed drill team.
Yeah. We had practices and then we had competitions, had practices and competitions with band. Plus I was also photographers for not only the school paper, but also the yearbook. I was doing assignments for these. Then I had another part-time job on top of that with this photography company. So I'm traveling like all over the place doing these shoots. And I'm like, where the fuck am I supposed to fit homework into this? Screw the homework. I'm passing the class. Do I have a C? Am I passing? Good. Okay, I'm out of here.
Exactly. C's get degrees.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I was like I said, sports and drill team. Drill team was fun. If you have a kid in ROTC, encourage them to join either the arm or iron. It really is a blast. You learn how to shine shoes also. So that's but realistically, when I think about it, I could never get down with the concept of homework. I never wanted to. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why. And I hated it. And I was
up
busy.
Until I applied for college, and they're like,
okay. Try again.
I never took the SATs and I never took the ACTs. I never took them. I saw these people stressing the fuck out, and I was like, hey, yeah, you go for that. I'm joining the military.
Right. No, my SAT scores saved my ass when I came to college. I mean, really did. And it was just kind of the problem with standardized testing is if you're someone like me who doesn't like to do homework, doesn't really like to study or apply themselves too hard, the worst thing you can give me is a standardized test that proves that I'm very smart. Because I'm like, see this?
Yeah. Well, that was part of the other thing, because we took some of the standardized tests, like pre-tests, and I like aced the fuck out of it. Like, so why do I have to take the actual test? I already know I'm going to pass. I mean, why am I going to put myself through that?
I remember taking the ASVAB and like blowing that shit through the water, except for the mechanical part. It was like I had never
excelled.
It was like I never stepped in a car before. Like, I swear to God, they were going over my scores and they were like, "This is kind of impressive, but do you know what a car is?
Yeah.
Or do you know what a wrench is?" And I'm like, "No, not really." I pretty much shit the bed on that part.
Yeah, because I passed the cryptography. I pretty much had my choice of anything, but mechanics is where I actually excelled the most. And they're like, "Hey man, you want to work on jets? We got a jet position right over here for you." And I said,
Right.
Like, how about space? Do you want to be involved in the space program? It's like, no, give me some grunt work.
No,
fuck the cushy air conditioned cushy job. I want to be in the heart of it.
Yeah, so no, seriously, actually, believe it or not, that's one of my biggest regrets is not going into the Air Force. I probably would have did extremely well. I would have been great at everything, but I couldn't get behind it. I didn't want to cut my hair. I didn't have to cut my hair, but I didn't want to. I don't know. There was something about it I just didn't want to do. And then one of my friends got blown up by a claymore, so I was like, I'm definitely not going to the Air Force.
Yeah.
I don't care if I sit in office. I'm not getting blown up. But yeah, I guess homework, really, honestly, when it comes to education, homework is key.
Yeah. Go above and beyond. Now, if it was extracurricular and something actually held my interest, like I was seriously passionate and interested in it, like I was in photography, I went deep into that stuff. I studied that stuff on my off time. But all that other stuff, like the math and geometry and trigonometry and all that stuff.
What a waste of class.
Amazingly enough, you do need that. One of my mom's favorite things when I would talk about geometry is just like, in school, I didn't understand it. I didn't know why I needed to do it until I had this weird window at the first place me and your dad lived in, and I wanted to make curtains. I had to apply geometry to figure out how to make the TAM curtains. It wasn't until I was actually in the Marines, and it wasn't during the job. It was at the E Club. I was shooting pool, and I looked at the pool table and I was like, fuck, this is geometry. That's all this is.
Yep.
I want to take this ball, hit that ball, and make it go in that direction. So that's physics and geometry. Fuck, how do I do this?
It's true.
Once I did that, I started winning. I was
basketball geometry. Geometry is sports, basically. And if they would have taught me geometry in sports, I probably would have did a lot better. But they had triangles and polynomials, and I was like, this is tough. And I don't like it. But no, seriously, if you're right, if there was something that really grabbed my attention that I really liked, I mean, I took psychology and I did really well in it. I failed chemistry flat out because I was very bad at chemistry. I didn't get it. But even gym was my fucking. I took 4 gym classes in 1 year.
Actually, ROTC got me out of gym. I was like, fuck gym.
No,
I'm not taking gym.
I loved ROTC too. Like, I loved the whole entire part of it. Like, I loved drill competitions. I loved inspection. I loved exhibition. I loved all of that stuff. I loved regulation drill too. It was so fun. And so I really did enjoy that part of school. And I would do homework for ROTC because it would be, researching leadership. You would learn your chain of command. You would learn you would do all these things that were fun. But you could not get me in chemistry class, let alone doing the homework. Like, for what?
I bailed on so much math. I actually gave up a full credit in summer school to replace the math class that I failed during the regular year. But yeah, I aced it during summer school though, because they take out all that fucking busy work. So it's like, that's what the state says you need to learn. So cool. Got it.
Right. Actually, it's really good in English, so I really liked English. I would do my English homework every so often, which was more than I did my homework for anyone else. So my English teacher was pretty impressed.
When they got to the poetry section, yeah, I knocked that out of the park. I didn't have to know all that other stuff. I mean, just write it. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can put a period where you want to put a period. It doesn't matter if it's not a complete sentence. I was like, cool, rules out the window. I got this.
Hello. Like, that's exactly it. I mean, rules out the window. I'm good.
Yeah. But I read every play that Shakespeare wrote.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to. I mean, it wasn't an assignment. It was because I wanted to. I read a lot of the classics like Moby Dick and what is it? War and Peace.
War and Peace, yeah.
I read all that stuff because I wanted to, not because it was an assignment. You assign it to me, I'm not reading it. John Steinbeck, I won't read it.
What?
I hate John Steinbeck.
Funny.
Because it was assigned.
Right. You know what book I hated? I read it after high school and I loved it a lot. The Odyssey. I hated it in high school because it took like 3 weeks. I read it by myself. It took like 3 days and I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is so epic. Like, I get it now. Oh my God. Everything just felt so drawn out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why do I have to keep doing this at home too? So that's high school.
Actually, for anybody who is still in high school, junior high, don't know why you're listening to us, but hey, if you're there, do your homework, and that stuff that you hate, apply yourself just a little bit. I'm not saying dive in head over heels on it.
Right.
We hate doing stuff we hate doing. But if you apply yourself just a little bit, it will make the rest of your life a lot easier.
You won't have to play catch up. You won't have to wonder if this is what I should have done. You would have done it. So yeah, if you are listening, number one, turn this off and go do your homework. That's in order. Number two, stay tuned because we have another topic that should probably help you a lot, which is what? Number 3 is business.
Oh. Oh, jeez. Okay, my first business that you really can't even call it a business because they pretty much asked me. But that was mowing lawns. I was in where was I? I was in Tennessee's first house. Yeah, so I was in the 5th grade. And this neighbor came over and said, look, I'll pay you $10 to mow my yard once a week. And I was like, $10? Cool.
Right.
Okay. But my actual first business was my own photography company. It was myself and a friend. We actually started Starlight Photography. And pretty much we ripped off what I was already doing, which was coming up with portfolios for aspiring models. We actually went to the school board and proposed a calendar for the junior class that would be released during the senior year. So all the juniors and senior, they would have a senior calendar.
Yeah, that's cool.
They still do it to this day. That was us. We started that. But it took us a lot of planning and a lot of research and trying to figure out and running around, find out who can print it, who can actually make it at a reasonable cost and everything else. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But knowing how to negotiate that. And of course, I had some help. My mom was studying for her PhD at the time in business. So,
so
hey, Mom, how do I do this?
Right. It didn't hurt.
But even applying for jobs, I mean, you got, if you can, if they have a paper application, go find this old antique thing called a typewriter and type it. Don't handwrite it.
Good idea.
It makes you look a little bit more serious. And my first job, it was one of those paper applications. I found a typewriter and click, click, click.
Well, it wasn't that hard to find a typewriter back in the 1800s, John. So, I mean, well, you know.
We had this thing, it was called a press. And you actually...
It's true. Yeah, it's different for us millennials. Okay, we have these things called computers.
Yeah, online applications.
Oh my God, they're a pain in the ass. Honestly, I would rather do a hand application any day than an online application that is like 20 pages. It asks you to upload your resume, and then the next page says fill in your work history.
Oh, I hate work history, especially when it asks me for 10 years worth of work history.
I look like a nut job.
Yeah, thank God I worked at the sheriff's office for 6 years because that took up 6 years. I just had to come up with the remaining time, and that was a pain in the ass. I had to go find my tax returns. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, actually put some effort into your first job. If you don't have a work history, then you don't have a work history. List your extracurriculars. List the clubs you belong to. I mean, show them that you have some passion and you can actually stick with something.
Right. It's very true. I think my best business advice to me or anyone younger than me looking to start a bit, take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just take your time. It is okay. And you know what? Your business is not going to get off the ground immediately.
No.
Don't have unrealistic expectations that are going to just kind of let you down. And that's what happens is I think a lot of people have idea about what they want their business to be. And then when it's not, they just give up.
If you're looking at starting a business, go with the planning. This podcast, no joke, before I even started it, I researched podcasts for 6 months. Every detail. I mean, I was watching you. I have a master's degree in YouTube and a doctorate in Google because I researched everything until I got nothing but the same answers. Equipment, what we needed, how to do it, how to upload. Okay, that's going off in the background. Then we had every component that goes with it. And when you look at our numbers are continuously going up and up and up. We were talking about this before the show. Continuously going up. I mean, we're looking at it, we're like, holy shit, we're going to break another record.
Yeah. I think we're hitting our almost 2 to 3 year goal in the first year.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when we were down for 4 months, you listen to that return podcast, we're not joking. We were scared to look at our numbers because we thought we lost everything.
We didn't even look at them.
But we've also drilled down and we identified our target. I mean, we have a full PDF version of here's our target customer. Here's the people that we need to work with.
Yep.
And you solve that and it answers a lot of the other questions. Our new website, we researched the colors, what fonts to use, how to use those fonts. Everything is designed around that target customer. And we're getting approached by businesses. Businesses are coming to us, but we're not choosing just any business. We're like, that fits our customer. You don't.
That doesn't. Absolutely. And it's about that. That's another great piece of advice too, is just because it's the same thing with friendships. Just because someone pays attention to you doesn't mean you have to do business with them. Just because someone takes interest in what you're doing, it's not automatically make it a good fit. And I think if business owners understood that, they would save themselves a lot of heartache. And just because someone has a lot of money doesn't mean they'd be a great client.
Yeah. And don't go spending your money on just anything. Be very selective.
Right.
The platform that we use to record our show, it is specifically chosen for really one reason: amazing audio. Yep. We don't go with Zencastr or some of the cheap. Yeah, we tried that. No, fuck that. It's amazingly hard to use. And if one of you drops off, you lose everything.
Everything.
Yeah, there is no backup. Your guest actually has to stay on for an extra minute to 2 minutes while it records all the audio into something that you can download. If they disconnect, you lose it, all of it.
Yeah.
It's amazingly embarrassing having to call your guest back. We got to redo the show. You disconnect too fast.
Right. And that's actually probably another good tip too, is don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid if they don't work out. It's taken us a year to really get a system down. And I mean, that's not just recording, that's completing tasks, that's doing things. But it's all trial and error until we figure it out.
Yeah. And have realistic expectations about what's going to happen. I mean, we've tried stuff and it didn't work. And that was okay. Yeah. I mean, we thought it would work because people were asking for it, but people were asking for it weren't actually serious about it.
Right. They weren't serious at all. And it is what it is. I mean, it's frustrating and you're going to get frustrated. And that's another thing is you're going to get frustrated. And as you get frustrated, you have to stop. You have to take yourself, you have to take a minute, recoup, and just go through it.
And be ready to pivot.
Right.
Not change, pivot. We have specific goals for our show and for our business. But at any point in time, we have to adjust. Now, we're not saying our goal is no longer valid. I mean, it's going to have to take something major for that to happen. This is our goal. We're going to reach it. But instead of taking this path, we're going to have to pivot and take this path.
Being flexible, being adaptable, being able to, chameleon yourself into things is a big part of business because trends change, algorithms change, things change. And if you're not willing to change with them, you might as well just apply for a job. And that's okay also. If you're not a business owner, you're not one. You don't have to be. You can be successful and not own a business. But if you are going to own your business, because I think that's the one thing that I probably like.
A lot of people aspire to do that.
Right.
And
it takes a lot of.
You have to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You also have to be ready to pull the trigger, actually.
Absolutely.
Turn the mic on and start speaking and then put it out there to the world.
You can't be afraid.
Yeah. Can't be afraid. Even if you're just going to be an employee for somebody, still what we are talking about in our show still applies to that because it's going to be a relationship. You have to have boundaries. Okay, you are not going to speak to me that way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the biggest boundaries.
And look, I need this time off, or look,
I'm going to kill you guys.
We're supposed to have a break every couple of hours by state law. You're not giving me that break. You are breaking the law.
Yeah.
Now, either you live up to your end, or I'm going to blow the whistle.
Very true. Boundaries.
Yeah. Be able to stick up for yourself. And yeah, you have to do what they say because they're your boss. But at the same time, they have to actually live up to their end of the bargain.
Don't be afraid to assert yourself. That's a good one for business.
And if you're not into it, if you're just showing up just to collect a paycheck, go find something that you're actually passionate about.
Right. And if you need that paycheck until you can find that thing, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with working hard, collecting a paycheck. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do to scrape by. But that does not mean, go for it.
I've bowed down and I've delivered pizzas because I needed to make ends meet.
That's what you gotta do.
I was the best damn pizza driver there was. I mean, they were amazed at my tips. How are you getting so many tips? I smile and say hi. I'm nice. I'm cordial.
I'm polite. Yeah. I deliver the pizza to the door and I'm not weird about it. That's a big part of it too, is it's being able to talk to people and being adaptable, especially in business. You have to be able to adapt to anything and everything that's happening. You have to adapt to personalities, which is by far one of the best qualities you can have as a business owner. Every client is going to be different. Every customer, every person you encounter, every employee is going to be different. Every coworker is going to be different if you're working for a job. Yeah.
Other businesses that you're going to work a business deal with, they're going to be different.
Yeah.
But again, you still have to have boundaries. You still have to stick up for yourself. You're not going to be a doormat and let them walk all over you and just get whatever the hell they want.
True. So business is very much like relationships, very much like friendships. It's all kind of the same. They're all ships of some sort. And the more you're able to grasp the concept that, number one, it's okay to be yourself. Number two, be confident in who you are. And number three, if it doesn't work out, sometimes it's just not meant to be. Easier it becomes to maintain those.
Yeah. There's a great quote by Leonard Nimoy. And he was asked in an interview back in the 60s or 70s. I stumbled across it on YouTube. While I was looking that up, I have no idea. I think I stumbled across it. But he said, there's only one thing I can do that I am excellent at. That's being myself. That's all I can ask myself to do. So be yourself, but at the same time, don't be a doormat. Yeah. And that brings us to part 4.
Our favorite part.
What kind of advice would we give ourselves in the love department?
Jesus Christ. 5th grade Ashley is like, listen, you're in 5th grade. Do your fucking homework. You know what I mean? Just like focus on other things. Like do your homework. I don't know. I played volleyball. I was pretty good at that. Focus on volleyball. I didn't really have too much of a thought on relationships. So I got to like the end of middle school, early high school.
Yeah. With myself, back in the 5th grade, I had a huge crush on one girl, and I totally blew off the other girl that had a crush on me. And this girl that had a crush on me would literally walk by my desk and hold up a piece of paper that said, "John is cute." I'm like, yeah, but I like her. So I had extreme one-itis. And even in junior high, I had that. And in high school, freshman year, yeah, pretty much had one-itis there. It wasn't until my sophomore, skip my junior and senior year, that I actually started going out with a lot more people. But at the same time, I actually ran into a girl from Facebook that I knew. And we were talking about this. And I mentioned this one particular girl. And she's like, yeah, if you said yes, she would have dropped panties for you. Boom, right there. I was like, yeah, it's too easy. I like challenges. I mean, that's where my whole thing started from right there. I wanted the girl that everybody said I couldn't get.
I think high school wise, I would tell myself, again, take this more seriously. I was in a relationship for a very long time in high school. One of the best relationships I've ever had in my life. Unfortunately, I allowed my maladaptive behaviors to get in the way with it, as I do with most things. And I didn't take it serious. I did, that's a lie. I did take it seriously, but I took myself, I was more selfish than anything. And that's a reoccurring thing throughout most of my life. And relationships it came to the point where I chose myself over doing the right thing or being honest or any of those things. And so it completely shattered this beautiful relationship I had. And it was wonderful. Like my best friends, when I not only could laugh with, cry with, do all these things, but then I just got into this, I have this weird coping mechanism of like self-sabotage and being garbage. And I think if I were to tell myself anything, it's like, don't do that. Like, don't be weird. If you're going through something, you're going through something. Express yourself honestly. And, you don't have to be strange. And if you're needing help, you need help. But all the shit I did and did up until literally probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was so weird. I was like a borderline sociopath the way I behaved and the way I treated people. I just, now I'm finally starting to feel empathy again and all these things, but I was so numb and so strangely numb. And I'm a lot better, but I don't know what I was going through or what was going through my freaking head, but it was just like, be weird, be uncomfortable, be a liar, be this, be a drug addict. Like, why? I couldn't tell you, but if I could tell myself anything, it's like, don't do that. Yeah. Like, it's that simple. Well, like, don't be that person.
Yeah, that happened to me in my early 20s when I stumbled across the whole pickup artist community, pretty much in a news group online. And we were just exchanging everything back and forth. And I found out these guys were like an hour or so away from me. And I was like, oh, fuck, we're going to link up. We're going to do this thing. And that's when I fell into the pickup artist community. And I turned extremely selfish. Yeah. I was finding out, damn, this stuff works, primarily because nobody else was doing it. And we were closed. The only way in is if you knew somebody. So we were going over all of this stuff and we were figuring out, okay, there's a girl, who's going to get her first? And it became a numbers game.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, next morning, we all get together and like, nailed her.
Yep.
Yeah, big clap on the back and everything. Fuck how she felt. Fuck what was going on in her head.
Exactly.
And then I ran into my ex and I was like, why did this happen? How did we break up? She's like, you fucking used me.
Yeah.
And it crushed me. And that's when I broke away and started doing what I'm currently doing. The anti-pickup.
Yeah.
Man, it's a game. It's a life changer.
Being creepy and maladaptive is weird. And it happens. Like, it really, it happens. And the goal is to recognize that you are the person doing this,
In one way, I'm not sure how I would explain it to myself back then, because if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't be doing what I'm currently doing and missing watching people's lives change for the better. Because not only do they become better in business, become better and start getting pay raises and promotions and stuff, they start achieving what they want to achieve. I'm not sure how I would explain that to myself.
I think, yeah, because it's true. It's such a learning process. If I didn't go through all that stuff, I wouldn't be able to appreciate who I am today. I would think I would just, I wouldn't be able to appreciate all of these. I wouldn't be able to grow. I wouldn't be able to learn. I would probably just be, pretty normal person.
Yeah. If anything, I would probably have to steer myself like, look, yes, some of this stuff does work, but it's these pieces and components. You can't do that.
Right.
But then I would, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't know how to adjust to use the other components that I didn't know back then. I mean, I would actually have to sit there and teach myself.
Yeah, right. Sit down, little Ashley. I got a whole lot to tell you. But I guess that's kind of the point of like all of this is as we go through each piece of advice and we go through each little age section that we're in or age gap, we realize that it sucks that we had to be certain ways, and it really does. I mean, there are regrets. People say they have no regrets. I think there should be some regrets depending on who you are.
I would say don't let the regrets dictate your life.
Right, exactly. Don't live in the regrets, have them.
Yeah, because, I mean, there are parts of my life that are deeply hurtful and things that I've gone through and things that I've had to deal with and overcome. Because if I thought about it, it's like having a relationship and watching it die. And you have a deep-seated hatred for that person and everything else because they didn't do something. But you kind of have to step back, look at it. Well, actually, if I applied myself a little bit more and actually didn't concentrate on what they weren't doing instead of what I was, which was causing them not to do something, try and find where your fault is in that, and then you would be able to actually overcome it. Or look at it and say, it's not my fault. They were just a dick.
Yeah. Be okay with it. I mean,
be okay with it.
Yeah, like I said, if you have regrets, have those regrets and move on and allow those regrets to kind of dictate your future in the way where if you're the one who messed up, you messed up. Fix it. You know what I mean? Like, fix
don't do it again.
Don't do it again. And it comes with lessons. It comes with learning. And there's plenty of times in my life that I've done some pretty not great stuff. And that's just not like, and that's even leading up to today. I'm not a perfect human. Never have been, never will be. But what I do know is I'm a lot better. I've grown a lot more. The Ashley that I am today wouldn't even recognize Ashley. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even recognize myself.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. And there will always be setbacks.
Yeah, there's always going to be something in your past.
Something in my way. Yeah.
But if you live in the past, that's going to cause depression. If all you're doing is thinking about the future, all that's going to do is cause anxiety. Yeah. And that's one of the rules that I live by is I don't concentrate on the past. Yes, there are plans I have in the future, but I'm not going to sit there and just fixate on them.
Yes.
I'm just going to live in the present. Here's the problem sitting before me. Let's take care of that.
Let's solve it. Exactly.
Next problem. But I can't sit there and dwell.
Wallow. I can't wallow. I can't dwell. I have to keep going. And it's very easy for people who have lived multiple lives. Like, whether you guys know it or not, when you move around a lot, it's almost like you're living a different life every year. You know what I mean? You've moved around a lot. It feels like I've lived, 15 different lives in one life. And what I do know from living all of those lives is this. I am not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And the day I decide that I am perfect is the day I need to check myself into some sort of institution.
Yeah, because that's why I added understanding or forgiveness to my list. I used to have 14 traits, now it's 15. They have to be able to forgive because I'm going to fuck up. I mean,
I'm going to.
If I said I wasn't, then I wouldn't. Then I need to go talk to my counselor who says, you're good. No, I'm not.
Yeah, in that case. Right. Very true. So yeah, I think that's good, man. I mean, we've gone through it. I mean, for the most important things in life. And when you guys listen to the show, I want you to remember that you may be at any point in your life and you might need to hear these things. And if you need any clarification, if you want to talk it out with somebody, we're always available for you guys to talk. It might take us a couple hours, if you send us a 2 a.m. message, put us in Slack. But realistically, we're here to work these things out with you. We're here to help you with them. And ultimately, we're here to make sure that you're not making the same mistakes we did. Hindsight's 20/20. So if you're currently stuck in a way where you're doing weird things, or you're taking pick up classes and you're hurting women and you're doing all of these things that you don't want to be doing, but you feel like you have to.
I mean, if you're sitting there, you're feeling desperate to have a relationship, or you're feeling desperate to change jobs, change careers. If you have that kind of desperation, been there, done that.
Right. Been there, done that.
Know how to overcome it. I've shown people how to overcome that. And there are ways to do it. And it's not one cookie cutter way. You can go out and sign up for a class, or go listen to somebody talk you up and try and sell you a $185,000 course. But those are Band-Aids. If you want to permanently fix it, we're not counselors. We're not PhDs. I have a PhD in Google. That's it.
Right. YouTube is my master's degree. Yeah, seriously. We're here to help. And that's why I really like the show, because we really reflected, and we were able to give you a more personal look into why we are and who we are the way we are. And you guys now see that we aren't coming from a place of people who just want your money. We were already those people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. If I give myself one piece of advice, is stop listening to the fucking gurus. I've spent, oh my God, it has to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars buying a $50 course here, a $120 course there, a $5,000 course here, $600 an hour for a coach over here. Oh my God, I've wasted so much money, and all they did was leave me with more questions.
More questions. And they gas you up, but there's no action plan. Our goal is to give you an action plan that helps you whatever part of your life you're in. We're here to help you get yourself elevated, whether you're just beginning or you're starting over. We're here to elevate you to a point that you feel comfortable being you.
Exactly. There is no cookie cutter way. Yes, there are specific steps that everybody needs to take, but how you actually implement those steps is up to you and who you are as one authentic person with a distinct personality and distinct problems.
Very true.
So
I was gonna say, don't forget to, like, rate, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom. Make sure that you are definitely reaching out to us if you have any questions. We are here for it. That's what we do. We love what we do. You guys have been amazing through this last, month of us coming back. We have not missed a beat. We're picking ourselves up. And it's just been a whirlwind of fun. And so I'm so thankful you guys are here.
Yeah. And we have some big announcements coming up relatively soon. We're just putting last few touches here and there. So we've got one that's going to be coming out relatively soon. We got another one. It's going to be a biggie. It's going to be coming out hopefully soon after that. Hopefully by next month. Cross my fingers. There's a lot of little tiny nitpick steps. I was describing this to Ashley. She's like, "What the fuck?"
What the fuck? Yeah,
dude, what did you sign us up for?
Right, exactly. What are we doing here? Like, what the fuck are we doing? But no, it's going to be super fun, super awesome. I'm incredibly excited for everything that we're doing here, and I mean, it's just, you guys get ready. It's gonna hit you.
It's great. Yeah, I'm super excited. But I'm not counting on the future, though.
Right. Not living in the future. I'm just excited for it. And I think that's the way everybody needs.
So with that, we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.